To round two of the 2005 Rolex Sports Car Series today for Homestead Miami Speedway. There are going to be some keys to winning this race, Dorsey, and we look at them there on the screen.
First of all, controlled aggression. Let me talk about this. There's 43 cars out here at varying speeds, two different classes. You cannot get to the front by crashing your way through. You're going to have to get through fast, get through clean.
Talk us through.
Homestead is very tricky indeed. I told you we're going to have some trouble. We're going to have it right here in this area. Turn 2. As you break into there, it's very slippery. Another place where cars have trouble right here between 6 and 7. Now the NASCAR banking, bottom lane is 10 degrees, 15 in the center, a full 20 degrees at the top. And with these 43 cars, there'll be 3 and 4 wide before this day is over.
Pace car is in pit lane as the cars line up. You see the hole beside Darren Law there where the 77 car should be as they roll down looking for the starter, and there's the green. As the cars accelerate away, the Daytona prototypes will start first. The GT class will start behind, and Darren Law, a good jump and a good lead, but side by side into 2, and it looks like Mike Borkowski and the number 9 car, the number 6 car, pardon me, will take over second place.
Turn 2 is really a tricky corner. Turn 1 is very fast, 2 is very slippery. We'll see trouble there before the day's over. These guys keeping it clean, however, on the first couple corners.
Well, Dorsey, and you talk about the weather here. It's been cool all weekend long as you get a good look at the GT start as they come by. It was a separated start, and Brian Sellers, a huge jump in that 61 Porsche as he leads down into turn 1. Side-by-side action as they go down to Andrew Davis in the 73 car on the outside. He's not going to get the best of that, and he'll drop to 3rd.
And they're rubbing each other right now going into turn 3.
Oh, and a great move by Davis. Back up the inside to retake second place, but it stacks up the field behind him, and Brian Sellers will pull away. Back in Daytona prototypes, the 6 car, Mike Borkowski in front of 01 of Luis Diaz, and Darren Law holding on to that. They desperately want to lead this first lap. They struggled with those Porsches and that Fab car last year, but Darren Law doing a great job in qualifying, got out there, got the job done, and got the pole, and side by side through the banking onto the front straightaway.
First time through that banking, up to 20 degrees by the wall, and these cars 174 miles per hour right here turning into turn 1.
Borkowski has a look underneath Law as they get into turn 1. He thinks better of it. These guys, smart professionals, a little wiggle out of Law. Borkowski's going to look up the inside. Just as I said, he's going to be patient. He looks to pounce.
That was at turn 2. You're going to have to really watch that. It's very sandy here in Florida. When cars get off, they drop their wheels off. They bring that sand on the surface, and we'll see cars sliding off before this day is over.
Well, Dorsey, you see all this battle going on up front, and you wonder, I got to ask you, you know, you don't want to lose a position at the start, but what's really the goal? It's not to gain positions, is it? Is it just to hold on to what you've got?
I mean, I always like taking the beginning of a race and being very aggressive for maybe 3 or 4 laps and then settling down to some sort of a reasonable pace. You can make up a position right away if a guy's not ready for you to pounce. Right here, Borkowski up the inside into the hairpin.
Oh, they almost touched. Borkowski's going to get it, and now we'll see that Darren Law Porsche, the 58 Red Bull Rumos machine, has a new engine in it this weekend, that 3.9-liter flat 6 Porsche, and we'll see what kind of top speed it has. They said it didn't really seem any faster in a straight line, but it was more drivable, more torque. But it looks like Borkowski, as they go through the gears, able to pull a little bit away through the banking.
A lot of unknowns about that engine as far as reliability, but look at here, it doesn't have much top-end power. The Lexus now going up the inside. Really didn't have a good run there on the banking.
Yeah, it's almost like he missed a gear or something as they got into the top gears. The young Mexican Luis Diaz able to pull alongside of him, really uncontested as they got to turn 1, and now Diaz sets his sights on Borkowski in front.
Now remember, because of the 2 laps of qualifying, that this whole field is really kind of, we've got trouble here. That's turn 2, I believe.
The 07, and that's the 77.
And the doors open on the 77. Now that's the car that started from pit lane. He gets going again, but this car's in the gravel trap. The 07, a brand new car.
There's the 77. Door. Yeah, the door open on that car. I don't see a lot of damage to it right now, Dorsey, but Bobby in the car right now. Both the drivers Bobby Angolan, former FIA GT champions, actually one of them in 03, one of them in 04. These guys certainly know how to pedal a race car, but they had a long way to go. Remember, they had to start from pit lane and work their way up through that Daytona prototype field to try to get back to the front. Take a look and see if we can see what happens.
Here we go down. Oh, it's already happened, unfortunately. The 77's going the wrong direction. Gets into the back of the 5, sends him off the court. Remember the sand I told you about? The 5 got lucky right there. This is a straight driver.
Well, you certainly want to see what's happening behind you, but that's not the way to go about doing it. As the 07 car sits in the gravel, competition will continue when we come back to Homestead right after this. Hang on, guys. Under caution yet again, the 10 car, your Daytona winning car, is in. Calvin Fish is there.
Well, they're taking advantage of this caution period as Max Angelelli taking over from Wayne Taylor there. Fresh set of Hoosier tires. One thing that these teams have really had to manage this week is just 5 sets of tires for the complete weekend. Now, they've been mandated. This is the harder compound. At Daytona, they had 2 compounds to run. This is the harder Hoosier 60 compound. Everyone's using it. So fresh tires, fuel, Max Angelelli behind the wheel. Chris?
Calvin Joey Hand and the 21 BMW also was in. Real quick stop for him. Just fuel, no tires, no driver change, so Joey's back out.
Good news for the 10 car with Max the Axe Angelelli, as we like to call him. Angelelli last year, even though they did not win this race, did have the fastest race lap. How much faster was it? Almost 0.8 of a second faster than any other Daytona prototype driver last year. Here's why the caution. The 39 car of Jim Matthews in the gravel trap. Back to his left, there's going to be another car. See if we can see what happens here.
This in the brake zone at the end of the long straightaway. That's Paul Mears coming in all locked up. He nails Matthews. Matthews had nothing to do with this wreck. That mistake made by Mears comes in just way too hot, locks the brakes up, and clobbers the 39, both up in the gravel trap.
Mears has made it to pit lane. They'll do service on this car. Look for damage in the front end. That's where he made the contact with Matthews. Calvin Fish.
Well, down here, and Paul Mears Jr.'s made his way back, Brian, and they're doing tire change. There's a slight cut in the front spoiler. I don't see much damage to the actual splitter, so it shouldn't take away too much downforce here on the front end of the car. They're going to try and get some of the gravel out from underneath and try and get Paul Mears back underway, but he's lost a lap. Mike Borkowski, when he gets back in, is going to have a lot of work to do today.
Now, disappointment for that entire team. Mike Borkowski, a great job in his opening stint, handed over to Paul Mears, and that one little mistake has already put them a lap down. Even though it just looks like cosmetic damage up front, Dorsey, you got to wonder if you get some suspension damage also. And that's a look at the back end of the 61 car, the Porsche of Brian Sellers. Chris Neville, you're there. What's up, bud?
Brian, that's right. Our pole-sitting GT car, Brian Sellers, is running back into pit lane. More problems for this car. It looks like it's overheating, something we typically don't see with these GT Porsches. It's not that warm of a day down here in Miami, but these guys are spending a lot of time in pit lane. Peter Barron was hoping for a good day, so I don't know if we're going to see these guys back later in the year.
See the mechanic there, he was kind of slashing away at his throat like we're done.
And the 2 cars back in, and Calvin has made it back down to Crawford. Calvin?
Well, it's now Andy Wallace behind the wheel, but they are really behind the 8 ball here today. They've gone down a lap, maybe more. Milk has jumped out. The car looks like it's in good shape. You see a slight slit in the side pod there. That shouldn't affect the aerodynamics too much, even on this high-speed super speedway. But Andy Wallace in behind the wheel. He needs a miracle today, Brian.
Well, and no flaming burnout there from Andy Wallace like we saw Milka Duno have as she left a little while ago. If anybody can get it done, there's Milka Duno. If anybody can get it done, it would be Andy Wallace. We certainly saw some stellar drives from him last year. And Dorsey, you got to experience a ride with Andy Wallace around the track on Thursday, I believe.
Yeah, Andy was my old teammate. We've shared cars before, but never side by side. That's for sure. He gave me a good ride around here, so I got a great feel for what it's like to be in one of these DPs. Look at all the debris right in that area. Unbelievable amount of junk on the track right now. Calvin?
Well, after Andy Wallace left, you said there was no fire, but underneath the car there was still some fluid here, so they must have some kind of overflow situation, like you said, Dors, that's emanating from this car during a fuel stop, but he didn't refire the car and fire it into life, literally. You can see, just a safe start. They'll get some kitty litter down there and dry this thing out.
It's interesting to see that fuel leak. You wonder if maybe somewhere between the fuel filler and the tank itself, there might be a loose fitting, because it only seems to drip as the fuel goes in the car and they leave. Seem to have no problems out on the racetrack. We saw the fire that Milka Duno had when on one of her pit stops, a fire that we thought perhaps led to a fueling problem. As the car leaves, there you see the huge explosion of flame off the back of the car, even trailing flame as he comes down into turn one. A very scary moment, and we're back to green, and Christian Fittipaldi with another big jump on this restart, takes a big lead into turn one, followed by the Brumos, the number 8 car of Bert Frizzell, and then we saw the 19 of Memo Gidley as the rest of the field streams through.
That's motorized mayhem in the GT class back there. These guys really dicing it up. Look over here to the outside, right there. That's all full of gravel, grass, and everything. That Corvette's in danger of spinning by going out that far.
And even a little further up the racetrack, a lot of dirt on the side of the road. Drivers not able to drive exactly the line they want to drive. That could have a big impact, especially as they get into traffic 3 abreast as they come through the infield portion of the racetrack into the braking zone. And definitely some guys wanting to get to the front.
That was the 10 diving in there. Max the Axe, we call him. And that's what, here's some more diving, speaking of that.
Looks like Miami rush hour traffic. You see the 59 of JC France trying to go around the outside of one of the GT cars. Nothing doing there in the slower corner, but as they come down the longer straightaway, he's able to use the power of that Porsche engine, and here comes Andy Wallace.
One thing Max the Axe is known for in that 10 car, we saw it last year, he is demonic in the brake zone. What I mean by that, he gets the job done. He can get in there deeper than anyone, and he pulls off those moves to the inside, and he does it somehow pretty cleanly, usually anyway.
Andy Wallace has the bit in his teeth, and we saw, as we mentioned earlier, stellar drives from Andy Wallace last year. There's the battle for second place. Bert Frizzell, then Darren Law. Frizzell has gotten Darren Law, moved him back to third. Memo Gidley is third in that line, 4th on the racetrack, and he wants to take the fight to Darren Law next.
Well, I know some people will want to disagree with what I'm about to say, but for me, it's very good to see this Porsche to be this strong again. That new 3.9 motor, well, that car's been a mid-packer. Now it's running right there strong in second place, and that's good to see.
Well, what Darren has said about that car, we mentioned a little bit earlier, a little bit of lockup there on Bert Frizzell as they came into the corner. What Darren Law had said about that new Porsche power plant, that 3.9 liter, not so much top speed, but torque. And on a racetrack like this, where you've got to have that grunt to get out of the corner, the 94 GT car turned around there, that Porsche engine, that 3.9, gives them the torque, the grunt off the corner, and that's what Darren Law likes. This is what they don't like. Branson Patch backwards in the racetrack. See if he can get that Porsche restarted, refired, and out of the way. Flame out the back.
There's that flame out I'm telling you about, but that's a very dangerous position to be in, headed into traffic right here. Watch this onboard replay. We'll see what happens.
Up here to the turn 3 complex.
Very tight corner. He just got nailed. Just spun right around.
I believe that was JC France in the number 59 Brumos car.
Yeah, pushed him right out of his way.
A little impatient, wanted to get through there. Said, hey, I'm coming through. When you've got Andy Wallace in your rearview mirror, you want to go too, because you know Andy Wallace is coming.
At the beginning of the show, I said controlled aggression. That's what I'm talking about, controlled aggression. You can't do those things and hope to win.
Well, the view that Christian Fittipaldi likes to see, no cars right behind him. That's the view from the 54 car as he looks back down the racetrack. He leads here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We'll be right back after this. Back at the Grand Prix of Miami, you're looking out the back of the number 54 Kodak Easy Share car of Christian Fittipaldi. Second place, dropping well back. Fittipaldi doing a great job here today. On board with Joey Hand, who led the GT class earlier on the second full course yellow. They took the opportunity to come in for fuel. But in the meantime, as he was working his way back up just moments ago, this happened. On board with Joey Hand.
Again, right at the end of the long straight, the hairpin corner. Oh, just gets on the throttle a little too aggressively right there. Around it goes. No damage done, but look at all those miles just passed it. Now he has to do it all over again.
You know, that's really interesting, Dorsey. We saw the GT piece earlier, and Calvin talked about, and Mike Fitzgerald talked about, the fact that that Porsche a little higher off the ground had ABS. The Porsche has ABS, but does not have traction control. The BMW has traction control, but does not have ABS. And the thing that was interesting there, in that spin, you heard Joey Hand go into the throttle. The spin happened under throttle. Shouldn't that traction control help alleviate that?
Well, it should have indeed. In that if he has it turned on, or I guess it got a switch possibly that he can turn it off if he wants to. It definitely was a throttle-induced spin, no question about that. But again, this racetrack just tremendously sandy. We see a little smoke out of the 19 right there. Good shot from one of the Lexuses. That's Luis Diaz, the 01 car. Chip Ganassi's car. This is a battle for 4th place, coming on to NASCAR 3 right now.
He is doing a good job. He qualified that car 4th, started 4th, and is running 5th right now, but a great job by him. He's really come a long way, and you got to believe that for a young driver like Luis Diaz to be paired with somebody like Scott Pruitt, what a tremendous opportunity, not only to drive with Ganassi, which Diaz did last year, but to have the tutelage of somebody like Pruitt helping you out. It's going to be a big boost for him. Look at the dirt on the outside.
You saw Diaz take a lower line through NASCAR 4, and the reason I think he's doing that is to get some clean air on his nose. He's got 2 Daytona prototypes in front of him. Both of those opening up a big wall of air, no question about that. But it takes the air off of your nose to follow him into a corner like that. So he thinks he decided to go down low and take that position. Oh, here we got trouble. You see that
rush hour. It's rush hour on the interstate in Miami. You saw the side-by-side moves there. Darren Law gets shuffled back. And I've got to believe that GT traffic coming out of the button hook on the infield had a big part to play in that. You only have to get balked for just a minute. All these cars very equal on horsepower. You get balked for just a second, have to lift off the throttle, you're in trouble.
Leno Gidley got a little wiggle there under braking. Maybe a little bit too much rear brake bias, which will cause the car to turn when you brake like that. But he almost had a big moment.
And now it's Lexus and BMW. We're about to look at 2 power plants, and we're going to see what they can do flat out around the banking here into turns 3 and 4. NASCAR 3 and 4. The BMW power in the 19, the Lexus power in the 01 of Luis Diaz. It looks pretty even when they get over here to the wide course.
Throw a couple GT cars in for the mix and really see what happens here.
See the 61 car that they just came by, the green, white, and red Porsche of Brian Sellers. That car back out. We had thought that they were done for the day, but the car is still running. But back on board the Kodak Easy Share car, your leader looking back out. Calvin Fish is standing by with Jim Bell. Calvin?
Jim, it hasn't been the smoothest of days, but right now things looking good. Terry had the problem in the warm-up, but Christian's out front, but you're rolling the dice a little bit on fuel mileage here. We're seeing several of the other front-running cars come in. You're staying out. What's your strategy there?
Yeah, we're running on the lean map. We're trying to make it on one stop, obviously, and there may be some more yellows. We're not as fast as they are in a straight line, so we're just trying to outrace them because we can't really, we're not really quicker than they are. They're closing up on us now. It'll get interesting here pretty quick.
Okay, well, they're getting ready. It won't be too many laps, either green or more yellow, before they need to make that first stop, guys.
And what Jim Bell was talking about when he was running on the lean map, these are computer-driven engines, and there's a dial in there on the dash that the driver can turn from 1 to 2 to 3 or whatever, and you can lean out the motor. Now, it won't make as much horsepower, but it'll get a lot better fuel mileage, and that's the game they're playing that Jim's talking about.
47 cars started this race around this 2.3-mile circuit. As you see the onboard shot, and look, Frizzell up the inside of Fittipaldi, and you got to believe that traffic had something to do with that yet again. And look at the view that Fittipaldi has. Those tear-offs on the windshield making visibility very difficult.
In NASCAR, he would have been brought in for passing below the yellow line. There is no such rule in road racing. He made that on the apron.
23-year-old Bert Frizzell, a great move on Christian Fittipaldi, and he took real advantage of it. But you were talking about the fuel map and what's that going to do to the horsepower of the 54 car, and we saw the power of that BMW engine right there in Bert Frizzell's hands. He took it to him and used a little bit of blocking backs, I think, in the form of GT cars to get it done also.
Jim Bell, the owner that was talking about all that stuff, he's a sly old fox. Here's the pass right here. Watch what happens. Pass for the lead we're talking about. Coming down in the brake zone, goes down. Look at the line to the left right there. Oh, where'd you come from?
Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. You saw those 2 GT cars right there at the worst possible place.
Oh, look at
Christian
that.
could have caught him.
Christian just forces one of them out into the dirt, which is...
Fool me once, shame on me, but you're not going to fool me twice. These guys aren't going to get in my way. He's going to try to get the battle and take it back to Bert Frizzell, but look at the lead that Frizzell has been able to pull out. We talked about traffic being a problem here, and look at Diaz making the move, coming up strong behind the Pontiac of Fittipaldi.
No, I don't know if that was just all of a sudden got into the draft, but it was a monster move right there. All of a sudden, the 01 Lexus just picked up monster speed. I have to assume he just really got a big toe right there.
Well,
That's 170 miles an hour, by the way.
The other thing that we talked about, Dorsey, was these guys have to drive these cars through 3 and 4. Look at the traffic as
Good
Diaz
move.
goes up the inside. We talked about having to really drive these cars through 3 and 4. It's not easy flat, and you wonder if on older tires, the handling going away a little bit. Did Fittipaldi maybe have to breathe the throttle a little bit, and that's what gave Diaz the jump?
Again, controlled aggression. That comes to this point right here. Traffic, you can make these low percentage moves and get away with it sometimes. Other times, however, you can end your race real quickly. It's the driver's choice when you get into this. These guys in GT are racing as well. They get every right to the same piece of road as you do.
Exactly. These guys have their own race going on, like you said, and they want to be courteous and let the DPs go. But at the same point in time, they don't want to give anything up on the competitors that they have to do battle with themselves. So look at Diaz. Diaz led this race last year, made a slight mistake in that very treacherous turn 1-2 area that we've seen problems in all day long and put him off and out of the race, but he certainly knows how to pedal this car around the racetrack. As you look at Memo Gidley, well, there's Bert Frizzell. You look to the back to second place of Diaz at the line there, and the GT car doing a nice job pulling over out of the way. Diaz doing a great job, and a very interesting spectator in the pits watching Luis work is with Calvin Fish.
Hey Scott, you're getting kitted up here, ready to go. New teammate this year, the young Mexican Luis Diaz. You have to be pleased with his progress today.
Well, everything's been going along pretty good. We opted to go for early stop. That puts us in a position just to make one more. I know some of these guys are kind of gambling right now if they're going to do it in just one. But Luis is doing a good job. The Comp USA car's running good, and hopefully just keep on racking up the miles here and go for a win.
You were certainly fast here last year in both rounds we had, but you never got a good result. Time to get that one back.
Yeah, Homestead kind of owes us a little bit. We've worked pretty hard here and came up pretty short both races, so we're going to go see what we can do. And hi to my family at home.
All right, Scotty, good luck.
Pruitt gets behind the wheel of that 01 car. Certainly don't expect it to drop back. He knows how to work traffic, and traffic has been an issue here all day long. Defending series champion Scott Pruitt certainly take it to the champion. To the traffic as you look at Diaz through turns 3 and 4 on the banking. Don't expect to leave Homestead Miami Speedway with a car that's intact. Look at these guys doing battle in traffic. We'll be back after this. Rolex Sports Car Series action from Homestead Miami Speedway. We've seen different leaders in Daytona prototypes, different leaders in GT, and you're looking at the new leader in the GT class right now, the number 36 Porsche of Michael Levitas and Randy Popes. These guys had a good run at Daytona going until they were caught in an incident in the middle of the night, put their hopes of winning that Rolex away, but they want to win the championship. And these guys ran strong all year long last year in the SGS class. Right now, Randy Popes behind the wheel, and Chris Neville, you have 4.
Brian, that's right. This is the same pair, Randy and Mike. Last year in SGS, they were so strong. Same pair this year. They're going to stick through the season. They were hoping for that Rolex just a couple of weeks ago, but that contact late going took them out of the winner's circle there. These guys are having a great run here today. They were caught a little bit off guard by these Formula Atlantic boys, but right now they're back in the hot seat, and they think they've got a car that can win it.
There's certainly no reason to believe that they would not be strong this year. They led the SGS championship for most of the season last year, trading it back and forth with teammates at the time, Andy Lally and Mark Bunting. But Andy and Lally and Mark Bunting took the championship away, but Levitas and Popes, great battles all year long. As you look back at the battles right now on the racetrack, problems spoke out of the 77 Daytona prototype, and that's I got it.
That was
Man,
insane.
that was close. That's the 64 car, the Racers Group car with the two 16-year-old drivers in it right now. That's still Colin Braun in that car, and that almost looked like there was fluid or some type of debris down on the racetrack because that slide was lurid, Dorsey.
Yeah, that was a good tank slapper he did right there. Good to save it once it goes past the second wiggle like that. In any event,
They're going to hope the race was being taped at home because they're going to want to make sure that they have a copy of that. These guys doing a great job for any driver to run as well as they are, but for 16-year-olds, tremendous job. And back up front, Bert Frizzell in the number 88, or in the number 8 RX.com BMW Doran.
And he's got a good lead, and if he's looking in the rearview mirror, he's real happy to see that the guys fighting for second are really cutting and thrusting it up, and it's probably slowing them down, allowing him to get away. But second place battle has been just immense for the last few laps.
On board with EFR, looking at Christian Fittipaldi in front of him. And now on board with 10. The 10 car up to second place. He's gotten past the 01. Max Angelelli on board. He was handed the car by Wayne Taylor. This pair, great job all last year, and Calvin Fish is standing by with Wayne Taylor right now.
Wayne, you've already made one stop. Of course, you got Max behind the wheel. He seems to be slicing his way through the field right now. How's the car performing?
The car's handling really well. I mean, it's basically going to plan. We were a little bit slow in a straight line, but you know, this is going to be a very big strategy race with the tires and with all the cautions at the beginning. So I think at the moment everything's running plan.
You'll need another stop, I assume. Are you going to jump back in, or will Max double from here on out?
No, Max will probably finish. And it depends on if there's any cautions to come.
All right, mate, good luck.
Thanks.
Back on board with Angelelli. You heard him say that Max will probably finish. We talked earlier about the fact that he had the fastest race lap last year, 0.8 of a second faster than anybody, and young Bert Frizzell is looking in his mirror right now going, oh no.
Here comes Max Yax. I mean, he's closed that deficit a ton. That's the race for the lead you're talking about right here. And right behind him is young Luis Diaz in the 0-1. Watch here when we go in the brake zone, you're going to see he's not that far back either.
Last time by the line, it was 1.1 seconds. It is barely 2 car lengths now as Angelelli is bringing the battle to young Bert Frizzell. And about this time, Bert's going, don't we need to make a pit stop? I'll be glad to put Brian in.
Well, they all need to make one pretty soon, I would think. But nonetheless, the man on the move, Max, is really going really quick. 1:17 to 1:16 that lap. 6/10, 7/10 quicker than any other guy on the field.
And this is where he excels, in the brake zone. Not going to happen this time into turn 1, but up the inside of 2.
Oh, yes, it is.
What? I'm speechless. What a tremendous job. We did not think a lot of passing could happen in that place. Turn 1 perhaps, but not into turn 2 that way. And he has made it look easy. And I would imagine Bert Frizzell is going, what was that?
Well, he turned up the wick that lap. He went a 1:16.3 to everybody else's 17.3. A full second a lap faster than the guys he's racing around. He's going to check out.
Well, and for Bert Frizzell, that may actually be a good thing. Young Luis Diaz is behind him, still trying to put some pressure on. But for Bert Frizzell, that takes the pressure off. Angelelli is gone. Now Bert can put his head down and just continue to do his job and drive that car. On board from Angelelli as you look at a replay of the pass. That's how he took the lead, and we'll be back to see more of his driving right after this. Leader Max Angelelli brings his number 10 SunTrust Pontiac Riley into the pits and was in the lead when it came in. Calvin Fish, you're there. Tell us what's going on.
Well, it just took him 22 laps from P11 all the way to the lead. He comes into the pits in the lead. Now will be their final pit stop, hopefully, of the afternoon. Fresh, hard compound, huge tires going on here. He's getting us some drink. He's going to do a double here under very difficult and hot conditions here in Florida this afternoon. So it'll be a full fuel load. They'll top him up. He'll have plenty of gas. He'll be able to burn it up and really trying the wick up here and see if they can score their second victory, 2 in a row here for the 10 SunTrust team, Brian.
Well, this stop is under caution. We just had another full course caution here. They can get this car out and make sure that they have that pit perfection that we talked about. They're not going to lose a lot of track position, Dorsey, but they still don't want to give up too much. A lot of GT cars will be stacked up in front of them. They want to get this car back out, but most importantly, they want to make sure that the job in the pits is done and done correctly.
Telltale sign of what the driver's going through. You saw Max right there get his drink bottle. Instead of putting it in his mouth, he sprayed it into his eyes, into his face to cool himself down. That's something the driver does when it's really, really hot in there. Then he went ahead and drank the rest of it.
Well, and to the people watching at home, you may not really think too much about heat because it's a nice day in southern Florida. It's only in the mid-70s, so it is far from being hot like you would expect in the summertime, and especially like it was at the second round at Homestead last year. But inside those enclosed cars, it's like an oven.
You're looking at a 140-degree oven, which will cook a roast if you sit in there long enough. And I sat in there long enough. That's why I don't even.
Certainly hot inside the cars, and the competition has been hot here today. We've seen a lot of battles throughout, both in Daytona prototypes and in GT around this 2.3-mile circuit. A look at the 36 car right now of Randy Pope's behind the wheel right now in 15th place overall, but in leading GT. This team doing a great job stepping up to the GT ranks, and you see one of the team cars, actually both of the team cars, up on the banking right now as the 36 car rolls into the pits. Chris Neville will be there, and he'll have more. Long run down pit lane. What we take for granted how slowly they must go. He now rolls this to his spot, and now Chris Neville is there. Chris?
Yeah, that's right, Brian. Randy Pope's very happy with this 36 car. These boys looking for their first GT win after the disappointment at Daytona. Car is working very well for them. They haven't been quite ready for the change in heat and also the sun today, because it's been a very cold weekend, a lot of overcast skies, some rain, but they said the car is working fantastic. So right now, Randy just trying to keep out on the racetrack, keep out of trouble. Lots of trouble out there today. All these drivers are saying that first half of that race was absolutely nuts. It kind of reminded everybody of Phoenix last year. So a lot more cars here at Homestead this weekend, starting to look like these smaller Robles are just Saturday night NASCAR event, maybe Bristol.
Well, I'd like to have the bodywork concession for these guys after the race. A lot of bodywork damage, a lot of tire marks as Randy Popes pulls out underway. Fabrizio Golan, not the only sick person out there today. Chris Neville, thanks for soldiering on. I know he does not feel well. He has had the flu over this last week as Randy Popes rolls down pit lane. A lot of the competitors out there hoping that their competitors in front of them will get sick and drop out. A lot of people out there want to win this race. Max Angelelli pounding around Homestead Miami Speedway in the lead right now, but it is not a comfortable lead at all, Dorsey.
Not at all. I'll tell you why that is too. Butch Leitzinger is running over a second a lap quicker for the last couple laps. He's closed the deficit from 6 seconds to 2.9. The 4 car is coming. You better look out.
Well, and we know about Andy Wallace. We know that he and teammate Milka Duno won this race twice last year, and the strength of the Crawford chassis here. But if you take Andy Wallace out of the equation, who finished second and third last year at this event? Max Angelelli in the 10 car, along with Wayne Taylor actually in the second event. Wayne Taylor, Max Angelelli, and third, Elliott Forbes Robinson and Butch Leitzinger. Both of these teams know how to go fast around this racetrack. Calvin?
Down here with Bill Riley, who's trying to mastermind another victory here this afternoon for the 10 car. Look at the pace of the 4 car. Are you concerned right now, Bill?
Not really. Max just taking it easy, conserved until the end. Hopefully he'll be fresh enough at the end to just go ahead and pull away, we hope.
How's the tyre wear been? I know Wayne was a little bit concerned about it. You know, it's a bit of an unknown. Early days on these Hoosier tyres. How's it been looking when you pulled the tyres off today?
Not an issue. Tires are great.
All right, they're confident. They're looking for 2 in a row, Brian.
Max Angelelli taking it easy. And it's a combination of words that just don't seem to go together very well.
I guarantee they're telling Max that the 6 seconds he had in hand is now only 3. Now that time, Butch Leitzinger in traffic lost a lot of time right there.
He loses a lot there, but you know, we saw the pace that Angelelli was putting down early on, and is certainly backed up. And you wonder if that was traffic. You saw the 10 go out of the frame. There, the second Daytona prototype, the red and black Boss Snowplow number 4. Pontiac Crawford in the hands of Butch Leitzinger. He has closed the gap. It goes back and forth with traffic, but consistently he is gnawed away at Max Angelelli's lead. And you and I both know Max, he doesn't want to give up anything.
No, he does not. I'll tell you what, it was down to 2 seconds. It's back up to almost 3.5.
It's far from over here. Butch Leitzinger taking the fight to Max Angelelli. He's closed the gap to within 3 seconds. We'll see what he can do with it. Time running out here in Homestead. on board with Butch Leitzinger. You can now see Max Angelelli right in front of him. Traffic has played a huge factor in just the last lap. Angelelli caught in traffic. Leitzinger worked it a little bit better as they come through NASCAR 3 and 4 onto the front straightaway. The gap has narrowed from some 2.5 seconds a couple of laps ago to only 0.8 of a second now as Leitzinger catches traffic as he goes into one.
Max Pappas was the one that got hurt the most by the traffic. He was right there on the back of Butch in the 66, but unfortunately the traffic, these two guys got through it. He didn't, so he's lost some ground. There's a piece of body work or something out there. Look, more traffic in front of the 10. It's going to come right down to it. We're under about 8 minutes to go.
You see several GT cars plus a slower DP car through there. Leitzinger sitting back there going, hold him up for me, guys. Hold him up just a little bit, but now Butch is going to have to deal with it as they go down the short straightaway. Big braking zone at the end.
Butch has been catching him in the right place. See, this is the right place. Get him up here where you're about to go onto the big banking. There's nothing to passing a GT car on the banking, but passing him in these corners like the 10's forced to do, he gets held up.
Up the inside, good move by Leitzinger. He gets through relatively cleanly, but so does Angelelli.
Now it's the big drag race. See who's got the top speed, who can get up to speed the quickest.
And you got to give a lot of credit to the guys in the GT class too, letting those guys through, getting out of the way. We saw the 81 Porsche move over. That has David Murray in it right now. He slid wide and let Leitzinger through.
It's just that distance. That's all there is right now. He's trying to get it beat down into turn one to get a little bit more. Just take a little bit more away each lap.
Which going, come on, come on. I just need a little bit more traffic. The question is, can he do anything with him if he catches him, Dorsey? These guys running almost identical lap times. As you look at Angelelli, he looks so cool, but what's going on inside that helmet?
Traffic is such a potluck thing, and unfortunately for Angelelli, he's the first one to have to deal the card. He catches the cars first. He's got to be aggressive, but not too aggressive. Can't crash his car. Butch, on the other hand, when he gets to the same car, the car's just been passed already, so he knows that they're coming. And there is lap traffic up ahead.
Butch can see him right there, and he's got to walk that fine line. If he pushes too hard, we've talked about how difficult and how slick this racetrack is, especially this late in the going. A lot of sand, a lot of debris on the track. He can't push too hard. He knows he's clawing away at it, but time is running out. 104 laps completed out of 109.
Yeah, that didn't really hold him up too badly right there. That was, now we probably broke a little bit early. Let the Porsche be in there instead of trying to go side by side with him. Try to get the most he can out of that corner so he can run under this long bank NASCAR type over. There's your distance. It's not much.
You heard Bill Riley say earlier he's just taking it easy. The time to take it easy is long gone. On board the 01 with Scott Pruitt. Calvin, you've got more.
Yeah, we expected Scott to be challenged for the lead here at this stage of the race. I just spoke to Luis Diaz. He said Scott's had a misfire since he got in the car. That's why he's running in the top 5, but he's not battling out for the win today, guys.
He may not be battling out for the win, but what won these guys the championship last year was consistency. Back up front, look at Leitzinger closing.
Yeah, you saw him up all over the curb. That's the first time I've seen Butch use a curb. He'll use it from now on. They'll get every inch of this racetrack and put it underneath the car.
They're not going to leave anything on the table. They will run all over the curbs, in the dirt there out of that corner. Nothing being held back now. Leitzinger taking the battle to Angelelli.
There's the sun right in your eyes. You can see Max's face right there. Really hard to concentrate on finding your brake mark when you can't see anything.
But I thought the thing fascinating, you saw Angelelli's eyes coming in the brake zone. They never looked in the mirror. They never looked nervous. They didn't look behind him. Focused on the job ahead. He is focused on his job. The guys in his pits focused on the job that they have done today. They've said, it's all out of our hands now, Max. Take it to the finish. Take it to the checker for us.
Hey, the best man win. That's what it's all about. These guys laying it right on the line now. You got to do everything you can do. We have 3 laps.
9/10 of a second last time by. 3/10 of a second this time by. Only 3 to go.
And we have traffic that will be a factor sooner or later in this, as the racetrack's full of cars.
3 laps, 3/10 of a second. It's all come down to this. Leitzinger closing in on Angelelli and traffic in front.
He's right there. I mean, any mistake right now, any little balk that's a car getting in your way, or you mess up on a corner just a little bit, and it's going to be over.
And there is no waiting. There is no laying back. You see the crew for Angelelli watching. If you get an opening now, you have to take it. You can't worry about how these cars draft around the racetrack, and traffic has held him up. Leitzinger may get a shot.
Now remember last year, the last lap, the 2 lead cars took each other out, coming to the checker. and the third place car became the winner.
Jörg Burmeister may win this race because the battle is that close up front. Leitzinger trying to hold on to the back of that Pontiac Riley that's in front of him, but Angelelli having nothing to do with it.
Running out of options here, Butch. How you're going to come down to 2 to go this time? You're going to have to force the hand.
And
you're going to have to make it happen.
And it is a clear racetrack in front. As you look down the front straightaway, the sun setting. The Sun Trust crew looking on.
There he gets a little right there. Just gets a little bit right there. Uses the curb.
As we talked about last year, you saw Pappas and Magnussen beating each other with just a few laps to go. That handed the win to Andy Wallace. Leitzinger not close enough to get Angelelli right now, but he is certainly trying. Wayne Taylor looking on.
Now the Sun Trust car seems a little bit better on these tight corners. There's Bob Leitzinger, that's Butch's father, many-time champion himself. He knows about racing.
How do they sit there so calm and watch the battle that's going on? It looks like Angelelli is pulled out just a little bit, but the last time at the line, still 0.3 of a second.
Angelelli's better on the infield, no question about it. On the banking, it looks like the 4, a little bit better on top end, but they're too far apart, quite honestly, without a mistake being made this close to the end of the race. Looks like the 10's got the measure.
Leitzinger needs traffic. The problem is they're in NASCAR 3 and 4. There is no slower traffic until we get to turn 1. White flag at the line this time. It'll be 1 to go. Leitzinger needs a miracle.
Yeah, he does. And right now it's a clean racetrack in front of them, at least for quite a distance. There's no cars that they're going to have to contend with. That leaves them both just to be mano a mano. And I think the 10 car is a better car right now on the infield.
Well, we say he needs a miracle, but I can tell you Butch Leitzinger will not quit the fight. He will take it all the way to the checkered flag. 2.3 miles around this Homestead Miami circuit. They've done probably a half to 3/4 of a mile, so time is running out. But Angelelli sees the red and black Crawford in his mirror, and he is not letting up either. There's still a long way to go, Dorsey. These machines have...
a little puff of smoke out of the back of the 10 there.
These machines have been through a lot, and that's what I was just getting ready to say. They still have to live for another mile around this racetrack.
We've seen it before. How many times have we seen it before the last laps? Things can happen. I saw that little wisp of smoke. I don't know, it might have been just a little bit of a locked tire, not under braking, but the car looks healthy now. This is their last time up to the banking, and it's all over with when they get around turn 4.
Well, it's not over until it's over, but time, like we said, is running out, and it's running out quickly. Last year in the 2 events, the Sun Trust car led only 18 laps. They have led many more than that today, and they will lead the only one that matters as the checkered flag falls on Max Angelelli, Wayne Taylor, and the number 10 Sun Trust. 2 for 2 this year. They've won the Super Bowl, they won the Rolex in Daytona, and they've won yet again, and the finishing order is just like it was at the Rolex Dorsey.
Great job for those guys. That was Max Crawford. He's happy. His boys did a good job. There's a GT winner.
Andy Lally, your GT leader, as you just said, Dorsey. Those guys have some celebrating to do, too. Wayne Taylor, handshakes all around. Second place in GP, that's your 36 car in GT. Popst and Levitas, they will finish second to last year's SGS champions. Max Angelelli celebrating, and it looks like he finally is going to take a breath. I saw him breathe. He probably didn't take a breath for the last few laps. The celebration is yet to come. Stick around. And anything certainly possible today for the boys in the 10 car. Wayne Taylor and Max Angelelli. Calvin, there's going to be a party in Miami tonight.
There certainly is, and Max Angelelli, 2 in a row. Great day for you. A lot of pressure there at the end with Butch coming up strong. You had to open the door in traffic. You had to be patient at the same time.
Was really difficult at the end. I gave everything I had. It maybe looks like I was managed nothing. I had nothing else. Under 10%, nothing else.
The good news is last week or last race at Daytona, you crashed coming into victory lane. You managed to keep it clean this week.
It was difficult, I tell you. Really tough. Thanks.
Looks like it's going to be a great season though, Max. So much competition week in, week out. It's going to be great.
I have the best car. It's easy. Anybody can do it.
All right, Max, well done. Let's get over to Chris Neville.
Alvin down here with last year's SGS champions. You guys move right into the GT class, grab the round 2 win. Make it look easy. We thought this was going to be a big battle out here, but you guys really did it on pit strategy.
Yeah, it was. You know, it still was a big battle. The TPC guys, the Milner guys, 73 all those guys are coming hard, and we know it's going to be a battle for the rest of the year. But I got to thank the Racers Group car. They did a super job. Mark gave me an awesome car when I rolled out of pit lane. The grip was just right where we needed it. The balance was good, and I couldn't ask for much better than that.
Deep competition in GT this year, but these guys make it look easy. Brian?
Well, the battle has continued from last year throughout, whether it was DP or GT. As you look at Daytona prototype results, Taylor and Angelelli on top. A great run by Leitzinger and EFR, almost claiming the victory, but almost doesn't count. Bergmeister and Pappas there in third. Look back down through the field. Andy Wallace, a great run back to ninth. Problems for Chad McQueen back in 25th, and we saw Justin Pruskowski with his problem early on. Calvin, you've got Butch Leitzinger.
Well, a great day for the 4 squad. EFR comes over to congratulate Butch, and Butch, you put the pressure on Max, but it just wasn't there at the end. Looks like he had a little bit more handling through the infield.
Yeah, I missed the setup a little bit with the going to the temperature change, and so we just didn't quite have it. You know, a couple times we tried a couple opportunistic moves, but it didn't quite work. But I'm very happy for the team. You know, this is our, I don't know, however many podium in a row. And, you know, they just keep coming back. So, you know, we'll be there next week, too.
Great job. 2 runner-up finishes in a row for this team. Brian?
Well, 2 runner-up finishes. They don't want runner-up. They want wins. But you take a look at the Pontiac race-changing performance, and there it is right there. Max Angelelli and Wayne Taylor are your Grand Prix of Miami winners. And I think Max said, it's easy. I've got the best car. It's easy. Anyone can do it. I don't know. It didn't look easy to me, Dorsey.
He was actually driving over zealously, I believe. That's what did it.
Another Dorseyism, overzealously. SunTrust biggest movers, the Improve Your Position Award in Daytona prototypes. Krone Racing and TRG from 20th at the start to 4th at the finish, 16 positions. And down in GT, you'll look at the Synergy Racing of 81 from 24th at the start to 8th at the finish, another 16 places. A great job by that driver combination, May Van Wyck and David Murray in the 81 car. As you look at GT results, Bunting and Lawley take the win over Levitas and Popes. That's the way it was last year in SGS. Another TPC car in 3rd, David Murray, Craig Stanton in 4th, Keane and Friedman. What a great job those 2 guys did back in 5th. Davis and Tapple, they led early on and had their problems. And PTG, you see Justin Marks, Tom Milner back there further down the field. As we look through the rest of the GT field, Colin Brown and Brad Coleman, a great job by the 16-year-olds, but they had a problem. They ran into trouble. Daytona prototypes, explosive you could call it, Dorsey. Your thoughts today?
No better than this. A lot of new cars, a lot of new drivers are getting it figured out, and this is great, great racing.
Well, we talked about it. From one coast to the next, we'll be at California Motor Speedway next in April. Don't go anywhere. This is the kind of competition we saw today. This is what we're going to see all year long.